Welcome back, Focus Learners. Today, we're charting a course through some absolutely incredible source material that outlines a pretty intense psychological progression. Basically, it's the ultimate roadmap for taking yourself from feeling completely stuck in a rut to achieving absolute victory. It's this fascinating journey of self-mastery, mental toughness, and just relentless execution. I literally cannot wait to unpack exactly how this framework suggests we can completely reprogram our mindsets to conquer the chaos of everyday life. So let's get into it.
We're jumping straight in with this really profound thought. Just think about it for a second. If you find yourself in the middle of absolute hell, why on earth would you want to stop and pitch a tent there, right? The source material asks this question brilliantly. I mean, if you're already in the fire, already facing the hardship, the only logical move is to just keep moving forward until you break through to the next level of your life. You simply cannot be great if you're always trying to avoid the storm.
And this brilliantly illustrates the fundamental choice we all have to face. Look, everyone, and I mean everyone on the way to their destination has a day where they hit a wall and have to make a decision. Do I go forward or do I turn back? The problem is, the average person turns back from their dream the minute things get chaotic. But the victor? They keep running, even when it's pitch black and they don't know where the path leads, because they totally understand that greatness requires learning how to operate right inside that chaos.
Okay, let's dive into this first major stage of our journey, Phase 1, and that is defining a massive vision for yourself. Because according to the source, a dream that genuinely overwhelms your fear isn't just some casual weekend hobby. It's the ultimate antidote to your problems. When you have a vision that you are absolutely positive about, it becomes your true north. Honestly, it becomes an obsession. It's the thing that jolts you awake in the middle of the night. It drives you to get out of bed when you are just dead tired. It demands that you show up and do things you would never normally do. Your goals have to be fundamentally bigger than your problems, guys. Because if they aren't, the problems are going to win every single time.
And here's a super punchy wake-up call drawn straight from the text. Tomorrow doesn't work. We constantly fall into this trap, right? Waiting for the mythical right time to start executing. But the material challenges us to completely reprogram our brains here. We have to tell ourselves that tomorrow is simply not a viable option. You get it done today, you stop making excuses right now. Because let's be real, waiting for the perfect moment is really just fear disguised as practicality.
Which brings us to the inevitable abyss of the journey, Phase 2, learning to stay steady in the storm. So, there's a core dichotomy at play here when you face extreme resistance. The urge to quit? Totally universal. Every president, every king, every soldier has felt that exact same urge to just throw in the towel. And man, it is so much easier to come up with excuses. But if you do what is easy, if you complain about your circumstances, surrender, give up on your dreams, your life is guaranteed to be incredibly hard. You'll end up bitter. Conversely, doing what is hard, reinventing yourself through the struggle, actively taking the difficult path, that actually creates lasting strength. And eventually, an easier, way more fulfilling life. The source weaves in this classic Dylan Thomas poetry here, and you really need to let this sink in. It represents a total, uncompromising refusal to settle. When you face immense adversity, or when that little voice whispers, maybe I can't do this, the temptation is to just let your dreams fade out and settle for mediocrity. But this is a battle cry against that exact surrender. It's a demand to rage against being average and to absolutely refuse to go quietly when things get painfully difficult. All right, moving on. We need to shift gears from raw passion to the actual nuts and bolts of execution with Phase 3, the discipline differentiator. Let's break this abstract journey down into a super concrete 3-step roadmap. Step 1, find the vision. Step 2, make the decision. Because frankly, nothing changes until a firm decision is actually made. And Step 3, execute with discipline. You know, passion is fantastic for sparking that initial decision, but the reason people quit is almost always because they lack the mental tools to reach the other side. Passion gets you off the starting line, sure, but discipline is your best friend. The source defines discipline beautifully. It's doing what you absolutely hate to do, but doing it like you love it. It's stacking up those small, seemingly boring steps every single day just to keep the momentum alive. Now, I want you to focus on this number, 90. The text reveals a really powerful statistic about human resilience. Life is only 10% what happens to you, and a staggering 90% is what you do about it. Think about that. You might face devastating trauma, massive setbacks, or just complete failure, but you cannot allow those events to become a permanent brick wall. Your response, your willingness to pick yourself up, brush the dirt off, and adapt, that accounts for 90% of your ultimate outcome. And because your response is quite literally everything, we have to vigorously attack the whole concept of a plan B. The source material absolutely despises the idea of a backup plan. Why? Because every single ounce of thought and energy you put into a plan B is energy stolen directly from your ultimate victory in plan A. It creates this cozy little safety net that actually promotes a lazy mindset. Real winners work as hard as humanly possible and still worry they might be slacking. They definitely don't dilute their focus by preparing to fail.
Now, what's really interesting about this point is how it weaves in Rudyard Kipling's wisdom to perfectly define true mental toughness. Notice how triumph and disaster are both called imposters. When you're building a truly resilient mindset, you have to maintain your relentless drive regardless of immediate success or temporary failure. You can't let a big victory make you soft and lazy, and you definitely can't let a disaster make you quit. You keep your commitment to your commitment no matter what the circumstances look like.
So, the crucial point is, once you have the vision, the discipline, and the mental toughness, you enter phase 4. Go all the way. No more half measures.
The text uses Charles Bukowski's raw truth to really hammer this home. Basically, don't half-ass your life. If you give it your absolute all, win, lose, or draw, at least you won't have to wonder if the outcome would have been different. Wondering what if is exactly the kind of thing that keeps us staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m. with lifelong regret. If you are going to start this journey, you absolutely must commit to seeing it through to the bitter end. And let's be totally clear about the stark realities of what going all the way actually requires from you. The text lists some pretty massive sacrifices. I mean, you might lose sleep, lose your comfort zone, or even lose friends. You have to be prepared to get 1,000 no's just to get one yes. You might have to do it completely broke, exhausted, and scared out of your mind. But here is the secret the source reveals. 50% of winning is literally just showing up for the fight. The battle is half over just by refusing to hide in the shadows. And hey, this journey of transformation, it's not a one-time event. The source emphasizes that you must invent yourself and then continually reinvent yourself. We live in a world that just continuously gets harder and more complex, so you have to intentionally build a person tough enough to withstand those increasing pressures. It's all about developing the mental muscle to push through when things really suck. You fail forward, you learn from it, and then you tackle the very next level. I want to close this explainer with a really provocative, lingering thought pulled directly from the source material. Just suppose this day is all that's left. How will you use your time? Are you going to settle for average, or will you look yourself in the mirror, shut out all the external noise, and finally execute on your true purpose? There is no account for tomorrow, everything is today. I really hope this challenges you to stop negotiating with your peace and start building your ultimate transformation right now. Catch you next time.